Hi Year 8, this is Miss Shearman and this lesson is on thermal decomposition. Can you please complete these 3 do now questions in your Google worksheet that you should have open? Pause this video while you do so. Okay, so I want you to think about what is the link here? What is the link between these 2 pictures? You got a guy with white bleached hair and you got this big foam. There's a tiny little clue in the background of the picture. It is the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. Ugh, that sounds really scary, doesn't it? But it isn't. Hydrogen peroxide is just a substance that has many uses. So, hydrogen peroxide dyes people's hair. You can also use it, and when you react it with certain things, when it decomposes, it makes oxygen bubbles and water, and these oxygen bubbles get trapped in foam, and if they get trapped in foam, it makes all this lovely elephant's toothpaste kind of stuff. Okay, so this is hydrogen peroxide. Here is its symbol. As you can see, it's got 2 hydrogens and 2 oxygens in it. It's just a substance, and that's all it's made of. A diatomic hydrogen, so 2 hydrogen together, and 2 oxygen. That is the compound. Okay, it's used for many things like hair dye, antiseptic liquids, cleaning agents, and stain removers. But what do you think is meant by decomposition? The word decomposition. Have a little think. Pause the video if you need to. Decomposition means breaking a compound into simpler, smaller compounds or elements. You might have heard the word decompose when you think of, I don't know, rotting fruit or the food in your compost bin or dead bodies and organisms decomposing in the ground. They are breaking down into smaller, simple compounds and elements. And this is simply what the word decomposes means. Now, I want you to do task 1 in your Google worksheet and answer this question. Looking at the chemical formula for hydrogen peroxide, this is the chemical formula. What could one of the products be if you broke this compound down? Have a think and answer the question in your worksheet. Pause this video. It can break down into water and oxygen. Okay, so here you have 2 lots of hydrogen peroxide. So the compound is hydrogen peroxide, and you have 2 hydrogen peroxide compounds, which has got hydrogen and oxygen in it. But we also know that water has hydrogen and oxygen in it. So when this breaks down, it breaks down into 2 water molecules and 2 oxygen molecules. Okay, so in your Google worksheet, I want you to answer these questions. It's under task 2. How is this an example of a decomposition reaction? What do you think the difference is between decomposition and thermal decomposition? We know, just as a reminder, that decomposition means something breaking down into smaller compounds or elements. Now remember, water is a compound. Compound means 2 or more elements chemically combined. An element is one type of atom. Here, hydrogen peroxide is the reactant, water is a compound, oxygen is an element, is the product. How is this an example of a decomposition reaction? What do you think is the difference between decomposition and thermal decomposition? I can tell you this is not thermal decomposition. So what do you think it might be? Pause this video. Okay, so metal carbonates are common compounds that have strong bonds. So there's calcium carbonate is one type of metal carbonate. The only way it can break down is by heating it up. Decomposition that requires heat is called thermal decomposition. Okay, so thermal decomposition of carbonates. Now, we're not adding anything here. This is not a chemical reaction because there is not two reactants. This is one starting reactant, so to speak. Calcium carbonate is its own compound, and when heat is added here at this stage, this is what this arrow represents, it is broken down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. You can see the word carbon in calcium carbonate. 8, whenever there's a word 8, it means there's some oxygen in there, and we can see the word calcium. Oxide, another way of saying oxygen, dioxide, 2 oxygens. You can see here, copper carbonate makes copper oxide, carbon dioxide. Magnesium carbonate, magnesium oxide and carbon dioxide. And here is the particle diagram of the same decomposition process. So here we have a calcium molecule. Now, this is the carbonate, this section here, carbon and 3 oxygens, 8. Carbonate, calcium, 1 carbon, 3 oxygens. Here, heat is applied and this is broken down. Okay, and it is broken down, decomposed into calcium oxide, 1 calcium, 1 oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Here is the symbol equation for this thermal decomposition. Remember, decomposition is not a chemical reaction. It is the breakdown of one single substance into 2 or more smaller substances. It's a bit like taking a piece of glass and smashing it into smaller bits. But here, the smaller bits become different things. They become products. It's the same here. Copper carbonate, copper oxide, carbon dioxide. What gas do you notice is produced when thermal decomposition of metals occurs? It was carbon dioxide. Okay, task 3. I want you to complete this in your Google worksheet. This slide is in your Google worksheet for you to look at. You need to type out this sentence and fill in the blanks. The blanks are in this support box to support you. So thermal decomposition is the breakdown of compounds using something. Large compounds break down into something and something compounds or something. Metal carbonates thermally decompose to a metal something and something something gas. Please pause this video whilst you have a go. Okay, so this is task 4. Please watch the video in the link. It is in your Google worksheet, but you'll have to click on the link because it's not a YouTube video. If you click on the link, it will take you straight to a website which has the video directly in front of you. Watch that video and after answer the questions in the worksheet. Okay, task 5. I want you to decide whether, there should be a W there, whether, and a H, excuse my spellings here, right? Decide whether the following are examples of decomposition reactions in the Google worksheet. You're simply going to have to tick in the worksheet yes or no. Is calcium plus oxygen making calcium oxide a decomposition reaction? Remember what decomposition means. Decomposition means a substance being broken down into two or more smaller compounds or elements. Is this a decomposition reaction? Is this a decomposition reaction? I want you to give it a go in task 5 and click yes or no for each one. Okay, so that's the end of that lesson, and here come the answers. These are your do now answers. Pause the video and have a check and see how you did. Okay, task 2 answers. The model answers would have been, this is an example of decomposition, the hydrogen peroxide, because hydrogen peroxide, the compound itself, is broken down into two smaller compounds, oxygen and water. Notice nothing's added apart from heat, no other chemicals. Heat is not used in hydrogen peroxide, silly Miss Shearman. This is just natural decomposition. Okay, however, thermal decomposition is the breakdown of a substance using heat. Okay, the task 3 answers. This was your copy and complete question. Thermal decomposition is the breakdown of compounds using heat. Large compounds break down into smaller and simpler compounds or elements. Metal carbonates thermally decompose to a metal oxide and carbon dioxide gas. So metal oxide means, say, calcium oxide. Calcium carbonate broke down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide gas. If you still have your periodic table in your Google Classroom, then you'll see that calcium is a metal. Calcium carbonate makes calcium oxide and carbon dioxide gas. Okay, in the last task, task 5, here are the answers. Calcium and oxygen making calcium oxide is not a decomposition reaction because elements are bonded together in this reaction. So this is a chemical reaction between two reactants. However, zinc carbonate, that is one compound broken down into two simpler, smaller compounds. So yes, this is a decomposition reaction because it's been broken down. So is hydrogen peroxide. This has been decomposed into water and oxygen. However, number 4, aluminium and iodine, they're reacting together. So this is not a decomposition reaction. This is a chemical reaction. Thank you, Year 8.